The snowstorm arrived without warning, transforming the remote Maine woods into a sea of white, where silence had weight and substance. Amidst this frozen expanse stood the Larkin cabin, an ancient structure that locals avoided with whispered warnings. Jason and Emily, lured by the promise of solitude, arrived just as the last light slipped beneath the horizon. The cabin loomed ahead, its slatted windows staring like vacant eyes over the unbroken snow. Inside, the air was musty and cold, the kind that gnaws at the bones despite layers of warmth. "Cozy," Jason muttered, his voice echoing against the wooden walls as he lit a fire in the ancient hearth. Emily wandered, her fingers brushing dust from surfaces forgotten by time. Night descended, enshrouding the world in layers of icy darkness. Outside, the wind moaned through the trees, carrying with it a sound almost kin to voices. The fire cast flickering shadows that danced across the floorboards, creating shapes that seemed to writhe and shift. In the deepest part of the night, Emily awoke with a start, the unmistakable sensation of being watched prickling at her skin. She listened intently, hearing only the rhythmic creak of the building settling into the snow, yet the feeling of another presence persisted. "Did you hear that?" she whispered, nudging Jason awake. His groggy reply offered little comfort, yet he too lay awake, eyes tracing the shadows that flitted across the ceiling like restless phantoms. Morning brought a deceptive calm, the snow sparkling under a pale sun. Stepping outside, they discovered tracks encircling the cabin, wide, deep impressions that began and ended without destination. Jason frowned, their shape unnatural, mocking any explanation of wildlife. As day turned to night once more, unease nestled in the corners of their thoughts. They skimmed through books left by previous occupants, tales steeped in fear detailing legends of the cabin being haunted by the Whisperer of the Woods. "He's buried in the blizzard," one entry read, scrawled in a hurried hand. "His voice rides the storm, seeking what was lost." The wind rose again, a banshee wail that rattled windows and chimney alike. The fire's warmth seemed to do little against a chill that seeped from the very walls. Despite their disbelief, when darkness deepened, they couldn't shake the truth in those pages. As midnight approached, the whispering returned, louder, urgent, threading through their dreams and weaving fear that lay as tangible as the blankets they clutched. Shadows stretched and lengthened in unfamiliar ways, becoming forms that beckoned from beyond sight. Driven by fear, Jason suggested they confront whatever haunted this place. Armed with flashlights, they stepped into the storm, cold stinging their cheeks as whispers curled around them, drawing them deeper into the woods. The forest stood hushed, a gallery of indifferent spectators. Yet, beneath this veneer of silence, there was a pulse, as if the earth itself remembered the footfalls of those before. Emily grasped Jason's hand tighter, the shadows alive with ancient intentions. They stopped at a clearing, the snow untouched by time or intrusion, the air heavy with expectation. In the center stood a figure, a dark silhouette against white, its features blurred like an image in a cracked mirror. "Who are you?" Jason called, his voice stolen by the wind. The figure raised an arm, pointing beyond them toward the cabin, to something unseen in the swirl of snowflakes. It took a step forward, its presence both terrifying and mesmerizing, and with a voice that carried within it the weight of centuries, spoke in tones that resonated under their skin. Fear gave way to understanding. The whisperer was no ghost, but a keeper of old promises, bound to the land by unfinished oaths. It sought acknowledgement, a recognition of what had once been forgotten. They returned to the cabin with newfound insight, the wind now a melody of acceptance, the whisperer's presence less ominous, more like a watchful gaze ensuring respect for ancient boundaries. The storm faded with dawn's arrival, sunlight creeping over icy fields and melting their apprehensions. As they packed to leave, the cabin seemed to have shifted, its edges softer, less marred by menace. Driving away, the sense of watchfulness lingered, an understanding that they had become part of the land's tapestry, woven into its narrative as future guardians of its mysteries. Behind them, the cabin stood still and solemn, its stories safe in the shadows, listening through the whispers of time for the next heart that sought to challenge the haunted silence of the woods.